Our daughter's teacher arrived and exposed my husband's biggest lie. Morning light slanted through our kitchen window, painting honey-gold stripes on the Formica countertops. I stood at the stove, flipping fluffy pancakes, while little Emma, 6 years old today, chattered about her school day ahead. Her breakfast plate was a riot of color: strawberries, blueberries, and the pale yellow rounds of my signature buttermilk pancakes. "More syrup, Mommy!" she pleaded, eyes shining. I drizzled the amber sweetness with a smile. Emma giggled, sticky fingers clasping hers around the fork. From the hallway came the soft thud of my husband, Mark, padding in with his travel mug of coffee. He slid an arm around my waist and pressed a kiss to my temple. "Smells amazing," he murmured. I leaned back into him. "Birthday pancakes for the birthday girl, your daughter." Mark ruffled Emma's curls. "We'll have to celebrate big tonight." Emma squealed, syrup dripping on her shirt. Mark scooped her into his arms for a quick spin, laughter echoing off the walls. I watched them, heart full. Our little family, safe, warm, perfect. Yet beneath the surface, a flicker of unease glimmered. I loaded Emma into her pink backpack, sparkles and all, and we hustled out the door. The morning air was crisp, the sidewalk alive with other parents and sleepy children edging into the school pickup line. I buckled Emma into her booster seat. Mark hopped into the driver's seat. I settled in the back beside Emma, smoothing stray strands of hair. As we waited, the school's brick facade rose ahead, banners fluttering in a gentle breeze. Mark tapped his watch. "Your teacher, Mrs. Keller, she emailed me about a meeting." His voice was light, but I stiffened. "She said it's nothing urgent, just a quick chat." My stomach fluttered. "Don't you already answer her emails? Why a meeting?" He forced a laugh and rubbed my arm. "I guess she wants to go over Emma's progress face to face. You know how some teachers are." I nodded, but my mind buzzed. I always wondered why he avoided parent-teacher emails. A flash of memory, Mark brushing aside my question last fall. "She's fine, nothing to worry about," even though I'd never seen a direct reply from him. The line crept forward. Emma's door opened and closed. She hopped out, gift bag swinging from her wrist. Today was her birthday party at school. I kissed her cheek. "Have fun, sweetie." She waved, excitement glowing. "Love you, Mom." I watched her disappear inside. As Mark pulled into a parking spot, I glanced up at the school windows, wondering which classroom held our daughter now. A teacher's face drifted by, the one who had emailed. Mrs. Keller's lips appeared to tighten as she spun away. Mark reached over and squeezed my hand. "I'll walk her in later." I nodded, steering us toward the coffee shop next door. Inside, the espresso machines hissed. Steam curled around baristas calling out orders. Mark ordered 2 Americanos. I took a moment to inhale the rich aroma, peppery, dark, promising clarity. We found a corner table. I wrapped both hands around my mug. The warmth seeped into my palms. I watched Mark stir sugar into his coffee. Then he said, "I'm meeting Mrs. Keller at 3. I forced a smile. "Okay." My mind drifted. 3, right after work. Why hadn't he asked me to join? What had he hidden in those unanswered emails? I forced my thoughts away, focusing on the steam rising in lazy spirals. The cafe's chatter felt distant. My pulse thrummed in my ears like a warning drum. I met Mark's eyes. He looked apprehensive. My heart fluttered again, a warning too, something's off. He stood, handing me 1 coffee. "See you at Emma's birthday party, 5 p.m. I hugged the cup to my chest. "Can't wait." As he slipped out, I watched him leave, a man I trusted, stepping toward an unknown meeting. The cafe door closed with a soft tap behind him, and I was alone, cradling my coffee, feeling the first prick of doubt. Warmth and safety lingered in the morning sun, but beneath it, an undercurrent wound through me. This isn't routine. And I have to find out why. That afternoon, I was knee-deep in spreadsheets, balancing bills and birthday plans, when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I frowned and swiped to answer. "Mrs. Clark?" The voice was crisp, practiced. "This is Mrs. Keller, Emma's teacher." My chest tightened. "Oh, hello, Mrs. Keller. I'd like to schedule a meeting about Emma," she continued, tone polite but firm. "Could we meet this Friday after school?" I glanced at the clock, 3:15 p.m. My pulse quickened. "Friday at 3, sure." I ran a hand through my hair. "Is everything all right?" There was a pause. "I'd prefer to discuss in person." The line went silent before she added, "See you Friday." Then she hung up. My heart hammered. A routine meeting never came unannounced. I remembered our last impromptu alert, an automated email about Emma's sudden tardiness. Mark had brushed it off with a wave. Nothing to worry about. But I'd wondered then why he dodged my questions. I sank against the kitchen counter, spooning cold coffee into my mouth. The bitter taste mirrored my unease. This isn't routine. That evening, Emma bounded in after school, squealing about cupcakes and crafts. I hugged her, inhaling the warm scent of her raincoat. Mark entered from the garage, tossing keys into a bowl. "How was your day?" he asked, lifting Emma for a spin. "Fun!" Emma exclaimed. "Mom, I can't wait for my party." She beamed, oblivious to the tension crackling between us. After dinner, pasta with garlic bread, Mark mentioned the meeting again. "Just a quick chat with Mrs. Keller," he said, sliding onto the couch. "Don't worry." I watched him spoon noodles into his mouth, calm on the surface. Inside, I felt a flash of betrayal. He's the only one with her schedule. If something was wrong, why wasn't he worried? That night, as I tucked Emma into bed, her little voice drifted in the dark. "Mom, will you come to my party?" "Of course, sweetie," I whispered, pressing a kiss to her forehead. I wouldn't miss it. I turned off the light and retreated to the living room. The coffee table held the stack of Emma's invitations, colorful cards decorated with balloons. I picked one up, running my finger along the edge. A memory flickered, the time I trusted a friend's offhand reassurance, and paid dearly for my oversight. My phone lit up, a message from a neighbor. "Did you hear from Mrs. Keller?" I typed back. "Just scheduled a meeting." "Why?" No reply. I set the phone down, brewing more tea to chase away the chill. The kettle's hiss filled the kitchen. I clutched the mug, heat seeping into my palms. This isn't routine, I thought again. My mind flickered to that sharp, unexpected call, the teacher's arrival, unannounced. Memories of past betrayal whispered in my ear. Last time someone arrived unexpectedly, trust died. I poured the tea and carried it to the couch, breathing in its cinnamon-sweet steam. Mark joined me with his own cup. I forced a casual smile. "Mrs. Keller wants to meet about Emma." He blinked at me, expression guarded. "She usually emails. Friday's weird." I nodded, heart pounding. I thought so too. He set his mug down. "I'll go with you." His words were steady, but his eyes held a flicker of something else, fear? I met his gaze in the dim light. "Thank you." He reached for my hand. "We'll figure it out." Yet as I lay awake that night, teacup empty on the bedside table, I replayed Mrs. Keller's clipped tone. The click of her pen on the desk in my mind. Emma's innocent face in the meeting room awaiting news she shouldn't bear. Friday can't come soon enough. And I knew I'd spend every moment until then unraveling the truth hidden beneath that polite invitation. Friday afternoon arrived with the sky too gray for comfort. I tugged on a navy cardigan over my blouse and glanced at the clock, 2:50 p.m. Emma was off at the birthday party, squeals echoing down the street. Now it was time to meet Mrs. Keller, and I felt more dread than anticipation. Mark and I stepped into the school's quiet conference room. The walls were pale yellow, posters of historical landmarks lining the upper half. The air smelled faintly of chalk dust and hand sanitizer. A stack of Emma's graded worksheets lay on the table between us. Mrs. Keller entered, tall, poised, clipboard in hand. Her low, measured tone carried confidence. "Thank you for coming," she said, sliding into her chair. She tapped the paperwork. "Emma is doing wonderfully in class. Creative writing, math, social skills. I exhaled, relief briefly easing my chest. Mark nodded, brows slackening. Yet a flicker of caution tugged at me. Mrs. Keller paused, then added, "There have been a few late pickups, and the other day, Emma was absent during her father's business trip. The attendance log shows she was with guardian, but no guardian was listed." My pulse thundered. Mark's jaw went rigid, knuckles widening on the table's edge. My breath hitched. What did he tell the school? Mrs. Keller's gaze shifted to Mark. "Mr. Clark? Can you explain?" Her voice was gentle, but edged with authority. Mark swallowed. "It was an emergency." My assistant watched her. His words trembled. "I told you last week." She raised a brow. "The log doesn't mention an assistant. It notes guardian." She tapped the form, the metallic ping echoing. "I need accurate records for safety." I leaned forward. "Who was the guardian, Mark?" "The school needs a name." My voice sounded firm, even to me. Mark's eyes flicked to me, panic rising. "It was a friend. I didn't want to bother you with details." Mrs. Keller exchanged a look with me, concern in her eyes. "That could be dangerous. We need transparency." The scrape of her chair legs on the linoleum felt like a threat. I pressed my palms to my thighs, nails digging in. My mind raced. He lied. He hid a person from me, and from the school. Why? Mark ran a hand through his hair. "I'm sorry. I should have told you." His confession landed like a weight in the room. Mrs. Keller pursed her lips. "I'm here to protect Emma. If there's confusion about who has guardianship, I must clarify it." She slid a blank guardian form across the table. I picked up the pen, voice steady. "We'll fill it out now. Guardian is me." My words were calm, but inside, a storm raged. "I won't let him bury secrets again." Mark exhaled. "Right." He stood, pacing to the window. The overcast sky matched my mood, heavy, threatening rain. Mrs. Keller watched him, then turned to me. "Mrs. Clark, if there's anything else I should know, any concerns, please tell me." Her question hovered in the stale air. I swallowed, gaze on my husband's profile. He didn't meet my eyes. My heart pounded. What else is he hiding? I closed the guardian form with a decisive snap. "You'll have every detail from me," I said softly. "No more surprises." Mrs. Keller nodded, satisfaction flickering in her expression. "Thank you. I'll update the records and meet with you again if needed." We stood, words of parting exchanged. The scrape of her chair withdrew into the hallway. Mark and I stepped back into the corridor. He exhaled, and I let my voice slip out. "Why didn't you tell me about that guardian?" His eyes met mine, regret clouding them. I was ashamed. I thought I could fix it before it mattered. I shook my head, anger and relief mingling. "You put her, and me, in danger." He reached for my hand. "I know. I'm sorry." I pulled away, stepping toward the exit. "I need to think." Outside, the bell rang and children poured into the halls. I pressed my fingers to my temples, bracing against the swirl of emotions. Mark fell and stepped beside me. In the school pickup line, I watched Emma leap into my arms, smiling. Her innocence lit the gray day. I kissed her forehead, heart twisting. I realized the stakes had shifted, no longer just parent-teacher talks but trust shattered in miniature. And as Mark followed behind us, shoulders hunched, I knew the next act would demand truth, or else our family would fracture beyond repair. That night the house was quiet, Emma asleep upstairs, Mark and I alone in the kitchen under the blinking refrigerator light. The kettle's soft sheen on the stove felt like a fragile promise of normalcy. Mark leaned against the counter, arms folded, face shadowed. I stood opposite him, fingers wrapped around my mug so tight the porcelain creaked. The moment I'd been dreading arrived, a knock at the back door. My heart stuttered. "Mrs. Keller?" I whispered. Mrs. Keller stepped in, carrying a manila envelope and a photo tube. Her low voice held firmness. "May I?" She indicated the island. Mark gave a stiff nod. I waved her forward. The kettle's hiss died as she set the envelope down. I reviewed the attendance records. Something didn't add up. She retrieved a color photo from the tube. Emma standing in a dentist's waiting room. Date stamped on the bottom. 2 weeks ago, afternoon. Mark had claimed a client lunch that day. No mention of Emma leaving campus. My chest seized. I took the photo in trembling hands. Emma's wide smile stared back, oblivious. Mrs. Keller slid a logbook across the counter. The school's sign-out sheet lists a guardian, Mark Clark. But on that date, the sheet shows with Dr. Peters. She tapped the page. Dr. Peters is not on your emergency contact list. Mark's face strained of color. His eyes flicked to mine, panic pooling. I can explain. He cleared his throat. I pressed my other hand flat on the island, knuckles white. My pulse thundered in my ears, drowning out the fridge's buzz. Memories of last week's meeting, his shaky deflections, pounded in my mind. Mrs. Keller watched him with calm intensity. I reached out to Dr. Peters' office. They confirmed she saw Emma that afternoon. Mark swallowed, voice tight. Dr. Peters is a colleague. She offered to watch Emma while I was tied up. I looked between them. Why didn't you list her as a guardian? Why didn't you tell me? His jaw trembled. I didn't think it mattered. It was just an afternoon. Her gaze softened. It matters. For her safety, and for transparency with both parents. I set the photo down, heat flooding my cheeks. I always trusted you, I said quietly. But you kept this from me. Mark's shoulders sagged. I thought I was protecting you from worry. By lying? My voice shook. I pressed back, breath shallow. By hiding someone who wasn't authorized to care for our daughter? He looked stricken. I panicked. When you asked about the logs, I froze. Mrs. Keller closed the envelope. I'm here because I care about Emma. But I need both parents on the same page. She handed the logbook back. If you update the records, you'll protect her and your family's trust. The overhead light flickered on and off, echoing the tremor in my chest. I met Mark's eyes, sorrow, regret, fear. His confession in miniature had shattered our illusion of normal. I drew in a trembling breath. I will update the records. My voice was firm. And I expect full honesty from you, always. He nodded, tears in his eyes. You have it. Mrs. Keller offered me a small, understanding smile. I'll follow up next week. Thank you for handling this. She turned toward the door, pausing. You're both good parents. This can be a lesson in trust. I watched her leave, closing the door gently behind her. The kitchen felt vast and hollow. I stared at the photo of Emma in Dr. Peters' office, proof of Mark's secret. Mark reached for my hand. I'm so sorry. I pulled away, fingers brushing the logbook's edges. The night's events had ripped open my heart, exposing wounds of betrayal. I need air, I said, voice raw. I slipped outside onto the back porch. The cool breeze brushed my cheeks, offering clarity. Stars winked overhead, distant and steady. Mark followed after a moment, wrapping his arms around me from behind. I closed my eyes, leaning into his warmth yet bracing against it. I don't know if I can forgive until you prove transparency, I whispered. He tightened his hold. I will. No more secrets. I exhaled, the tension easing slightly. But I knew the real test lay ahead, in our next confrontation, our next choice to rebuild, or to walk away. Behind us, the kitchen light glowed through the window, a beacon of the life we once knew, now fractured. As I watched its steady pulse, I vowed to protect Emma's world, and my own, by demanding the truth, no matter the cost. I stood under the harsh flicker of the kitchen's fluorescent light, every bulb in the house off except the one above the sink. The refrigerator's low hum was the only soundtrack to our showdown. Emma slept safely upstairs, unaware of the storm brewing below. Mark leaned against the counter, eyes red. His hands trembled against the formica. Between us sat Mrs. Keller, clipboard in hand, her gaze steady. I closed the space behind me by dumping the manila envelope on the island. Papers spilled, attendance logs, the dentist office photo, emails Mark never forwarded. Mrs. Keller nodded at the evidence. Everything lines up. She handed me the photo, Emma, bright-eyed in Dr. Peters' waiting room. The date and timestamp mocked me. I inhaled sharply. My pulse roared. You lied, I said to Mark, voice raw. I pressed the dentist's photo to his chest. This day, this afternoon, what happened? Mark's jaw clenched. He drew a shaky breath. I took her. I knew you'd be upset if I said my client demanded a last-minute meeting. I panicked. His words came tumbling out, each one a confession. I called Dr. Peters. She agreed to watch Emma for 2 hours. I thought it was fine. I slammed my hand on the island, rattling cups on the drying rack. You thought? My fingers ached from the impact. You never asked me. You kept it secret. You falsified records. He flinched, as if struck. I swear I meant well. I took a step back. The cold tile bit into my bare feet. Well? You endangered our daughter and breached my trust. Mrs. Keller shifted in her chair, the scrape of metal on tile echoing. I reported it because I care about Emma's safety. Not because I want to punish you. Her gaze softened for a moment before sharpening again. But rules exist for a reason. Mark rubbed his face, stubble scratching. I know. I'm sorry. I pressed a trembling hand to my chest, willing my heartbeat to steady. Sorry? My voice cracked. Sorry doesn't repair a broken promise. He swallowed, voice hoarse. I'll do anything to fix this. I looked at Mrs. Keller's form on the island, lines to fill, signatures to gather. My throat tightened. I wanted to believe him. But the evidence glared at me, fabricated logs, deleted emails, unlisted guardians. Mrs. Keller rose, clipping her pen onto the board. I have to file this with the administration. They'll need signatures. I met Mark's eyes, the door to the hallway framed behind her. In that moment, I saw everything. My husband, cornered by his own deceit. Our family's foundation cracking. I inhaled, closing my eyes for a slow count of 3. My hands unclenched. When I opened them, I held the log book. We'll fill this out together, I said, voice steadier. Right now. Mark's shoulders sagged with relief, like he'd been drowning and I'd thrown him a lifeline. He nodded, eyes pleading. I flipped to the Guardian page. My pen hovered, and I wrote, Guardian, Sophie Clark. Then I turned the book to Mark's side. Your turn. He filled in his name under other authorized contacts. A small admission, but a start. Mrs. Keller watched with a faint smile. Thank you. Then she gathered her papers and slipped out, leaving us to the aftermath. The door's thud sounded final. Silence settled, broken only by the fridge's hum. I closed the log book. No more secrets, I told him. He stepped forward, voice soft. I promise. No more. I met his gaze. I need you to prove it. He nodded, eyes shimmering with regret and determination. I will. I looked at the island, scattered with proof of his lies. I wanted to crumble. But instead I took a deep breath. This was our crossroads, rebuild or drift apart. I picked up the attendance logs and set them aside. We rebuild on truth. He reached for my hand. I held it, testing his grip. Solid. Real. I swallowed the lump in my throat and said, Then let's start now. The refrigerator light pulsed gently behind us. In its steady glow, I saw a path forward, hard, honest, and ours to choose. The morning sun streamed through freshly washed windows, scattering light across our renewed kitchen. The floors, once battered by the storm of deceit, now gleamed under the gentle hum of our new security system camera above the back door. I stood at the island, pen in hand, as Mark slid into the stool beside me, posture tentative but hopeful. Between us lay the final paperwork, the signed attendance logs, the updated emergency contact form, and the report Mrs. Keller had filed with the administration. I tapped each document, as if to confirm their reality. Our truth laid bare in black and white. Mark cleared his throat. I arranged counseling, he said softly. For Emma, for us. I've also shared everything with my boss. Told him I can't put work before family again. His eyes sought mine. I want to prove my promise. I felt the tension ease from my shoulders. His actions matched his words, the foundation for rebuilding. I slid him the pen and said, "Thank you for taking responsibility." He signed the last form under parent acknowledgement. His handwriting unsteady but resolute. Across the kitchen, Emma bounded in, clutching her birthday balloon from last week's classroom party. Her laughter was bright, pure. She leapt into my arms. "Mommy, can we bake cookies today?" She beamed. I hugged her tight, inhaling the faint scent of frosting and crayon. "Of course, sweetie. Let's make chocolate chip, your favorite." Mark joined our circle, ruffling Emma's hair with a smile that reached his eyes for the first time in weeks. Later that afternoon, I joined a small gathering in the school's art room. Mrs. Keller had invited a few parents for a trust and safety workshop. I shared our story, briefly, focusing on how transparency and listening to my instincts had saved our family. The room was warm with nods and understanding faces. When I finished, hands reached out, offering gentle applause. In their eyes, I saw solidarity and respect. Back home, our living room, once the scene of chaos, was transformed into my art studio. On an easel stood the canvas I'd started during sleepless nights, Resilience. Its fractured pattern of pastel shards was now overlaid with bold strokes of gold, each line binding broken pieces into a new, vibrant whole. I added a final golden arc across the center, an unbroken bridge. Mark watched me paint in silence. When I set down the brush, he approached and placed a single silver teaspoon, mended and polished, next to the canvas. "For your art," he said, "and for our healing." I picked up the spoon, tracing its repaired seam. "Actions, not words," I whispered, voice steady. He nodded, relief shining in his eyes. That evening, we hosted a simple dinner on the back patio beneath string lights. No fairy lights or flickering candles, just clear bulbs and cool air. We raised glasses of iced tea. I offered a toast to trust rebuilt on honesty. Mark met my gaze and echoed, "To truth." Emma dozed inside on the couch, one arm clutching her balloon. We cleared the table together, each plate, each glass a step away from the chaos. Later, as we tucked Emma into bed, I pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Mommy and Daddy love you more than anything," I whispered. She mumbled, "Love you," and drifted into sleep, safe and unaware of the battles we'd fought. In the hallway, Mark paused. "Sophie," he said softly, "thank you for fighting, for me, for Emma." I looked into his eyes. "Thank you for fighting with me." We held each other under the soft glow of the night light, vulnerable yet strong. Before turning out the hall light, I opened my journal and wrote, "Today, I reclaimed my power. Today, we rebuilt on trust. Tomorrow, we walk forward, together, honest, unafraid." I closed the journal and whispered into the quiet house. No more shadows. Only truth. And with that vow echoing in the stillness, I knew we had crossed the threshold from betrayal to renewal, and that our family, though forever changed, would thrive on the foundation we had built with courage and candor.